Hi folks, welcome back to the Addicted Bookworm, and it is time for another review. So yeah, I am I I'm gonna say this. I am still tired from today. I really am. So yeah, it is so it's time for another review. And before I begin, I want to say I got paid like I don't know when, like maybe a couple hours ago. And so I went and I got a couple more ebooks, and they're all from Vicki Delany. And one that I am going to do a review of, I actually purchased. Well, whatever. I wouldn't say, let me be fair, it's not really purchasing, but I have it on my Kindle. I don't have to worry about it being due or anything like that. So yeah, very happy about that. So this is Body on Baker Street by Vicki Delany. This is the second book in a Sherlock Holmes bookshop mystery. So the 11th book in the series is coming out, I believe, January 6th. So what I'm actually going to be doing for the next couple of paychecks is I will be getting her books, all her books on Kindle, and that way when the new book comes out, I will be able to read it and everything. I'm also going to be picking them up as physical editions because I absolutely love this series. This series has proven to be a amazing find that I didn't even think I was ever going to find. So anyways, Body on Baker Street by Vicki Delany. This is, as I said, this is the second book in this series. And this time around, the victim, is a author. Well, actually, not really. It's kind of complicated. So there's this woman, I can't even pronounce the name she goes by, but she's this very flamboyant kind of author. She's written some books with like Sherlock Holmes, but he's not like Sir Arthur Conan Doyle created. He's like in a relationship with Miss Hudson, which a lot of people that are diehard Sherlock Holmes fans don't exactly like. So she is at this book signing, and she's kind of up there in age. She's got arthritis, so she doesn't really sign her name to books. And what ends up happening is she ends up dead. And the weapon of choice? Cyanide. Yeah. So what happens basically is that it happens in Gemma's bookstore. Not exactly not exactly something you want to happen. And of course you gotta call the police, and we get our least favorite female detective. I think you pronounce her name is Desad. I think that's how you pronounce her name. I'm not exactly sure. So, Gemma is once again showing her intellect and her observation. And she has this attitude of like, I know that you helped to solve one mystery, but I have the badge. I'm the one who has all the answers. And she has this attitude of that I'm always right and you're wrong, and I'm going to prove it. And she never does. I have read, okay, I am on the third book in this one. I got, was it, five. I got four. I purchased 4 ebooks from this series. So, I got plenty to read. I got plenty to read. But anyways, so what happens is after she dies, and she goes to the great morgue. Guess who is with her? But this young woman who's, I don't know how old she is in the book. I know she's an adult, but I don't exactly know how old she is. And what happens is this woman happens to be the victim's daughter. And what basically happens is, she's very distraught over her mother's death, but we also find out that her mother was very controlling and very determined to control every aspect of her daughter's life. We also find out that it is the daughter who is the actual author. So the killer didn't kill the author. He killed a woman that was pretending to be the author. So even the publishing house believes that the victim was the author, and just be like, yeah, no more books. And what happens when an author passes away? Well, the books end up becoming extremely valuable. Now, it depends on genre, of course, and that's what I believe his name is Richard. I'm not exactly sure, but what I do know about him is that he is a rare book dealer, and of course, his assumption is, of course, that there'll be no more books made. But because the books were basically a woman writing for a female audience, the books are not that valuable. So yes, to all your romantasy fans, your books are not going to be worth anything, even when the author dies. Anyways, so the author Vicki puts information in about like book dealing and about how books are determined to have value, things like that. Like my Hobbit has value because it's it has value because it's the Hobbit. It's not like Actar. It's the Hobbit. So it's going to have some value, but not a whole bunch of value. Now, the more copies no longer around, the more my book will be more valuable. But anyways, so what is really weird? Getting back to the book, what is really weird about the whole thing? So, this girl is mourning the death of her mother, and the head of the publishing house that is there, he keeps on talking about this manuscript, and basically about that he wants it. And she says it's not finished. There's a couple things that have been done to it. Then there's like some light editing, and then it will be done. And he keeps on pressuring her for the manuscript. Which, I'm reading this book, and the whole point of Cozy Mysteries is not just that you read it, but you kind of interact with it, which is why I love Cozy Mysteries like I do. You have to interact with it. You can't just read it and just wait until the author tells you who the killer is. You have to actually use your brain. And I'm standing there at my job. I'm reading this book, and I'm thinking, there is something really off about this guy. Really off about this guy. This guy he desperately wants this object. And he talks about how, hold on. Sorry. How, he has ghostwriters on hand to finish the book and everything. And she keeps on telling him, no, I am not going to give you this manuscript. And then talks about how, if your mother had it on cloud storage, you could give me the password. And I'm thinking, okay, whoa, wait a second here, mister. Hold a moment. This woman just died. Her daughter is mourning the death of her mother. Why the hell should she give you anything? So, I kind of suspect that there's something quite not right with this guy. His name is Rogers, by the way, if anybody cares to know. And so, what basically happens is you're kind of starting to suspect, okay, there's a lot more to Roger wanting this manuscript than just, oh, this is your mother's final novel. And here's the thing is Gemma kind of just views it as, oh, this is like the byproduct of, or take it back, we think that Gemma is thinking, oh, this is just a byproduct of, like, the publishing industry. But she later on tells Ryan, who is the lead detective, about the argument that, hey, look, there's something going on here. And Ryan, who knows that Gemma is much more intelligent than, is like, yeah, I'm going to agree with you. There is something really fishy with this Roger guy. And as it continues on, she gets attacked. And, of course, she is saved by a bunch of hormonal teenagers, by two hormonal teenagers. And, of course, their church finds out about it, which was funny as heck. And then what happens is we get to the end of it. And what happens is the daughter tells her mother's publishing house, I'm the one who wrote the books. And, of course, he does not believe her. He just laughs. Like, yeah, you? Yeah, maybe you should, like, write some, like, short stories. Like, he doesn't believe that she's the author. And her boyfriend's like, yeah, she's the author. She's the one who has been writing your books that you've been making money off of. And then, because of the fact that she owns the copyright, see, it's really weird, is the publishing house does not own the copyright to the books. She owns the copyright to the books. So, like, when her mother died, all of that reverted back to her, because that's the nature of it. So, because in essence, copyright hasn't activated. So, like, what I mean by that is, when an author dies, their copyright, like their descendants can, get money from these books. Well, because the author is not dead, there's, And then, of course, what ends up happening is she says to this guy, to Roger, I have a deal with one of the big five to publish this book by them. And it literally, he goes off on her. He goes, I don't care. Your mother and I have a verbal agreement, which is not legal. Verbal agreements, okay, here's something is, verbal contracts, we don't have to be lawyers to know that verbal contracts are different from written contracts. Written contracts are done by lawyers and all that, and then people sign it, and there's like a certain thing you have to do, which is why the Rebecca Yarnos fans are upset. They have to wait 2 years for the next, Dragon smut book. Anyways, so basically what happens is once he finds out, once it comes out that Rogers is the one who killed this woman, when this poor woman was drunk water tainted with cyanide because Roger, who is the killer, wanted to get rid of her for some unknown reason. Like, why would you do that? And what does he do? He decides to he decides to grab poor Gemma and point a big shard of glass to her neck. And he basically tells her, you will turn that manuscript into me by the end of the week. And Linda's like, no, I'm not going to. So all ends is, of course, the bad guy is caught. And Linda, of course, she is totally honest about what she said in the book. The final book will be published by one of the big five, and then, according to the contract she signed, she's going to do something different. And kind of Donald, who was supposed to be like, the police were like, he's the main suspect. He kind of, when she kind of says, hey, this is my idea for my next series of books, he's like, that sounds like a really great idea. So anyways, so how did Donald end up being a suspect? Well, he didn't exactly like Linda's books, though he thought it was the mother. And he thought that she was besmirching Holmes, and he wrote some inflammatory comments in the book that he got. And that did not look good. And also we find out that Donald, who used to practice family law, actually has a degree in chemistry, which was a really interesting thing that she put into it. All in all, gave this book 5 stars. Another great read from another great author. And yes, I am currently in the middle of not really in the middle, but I'm kind of in the 3rd book. And I think I'm on chapter 5, and that one is about a actor who played Sherlock Holmes. He ends up dead during one of his plays. So I'm really super excited. But I will tell you something. This kitty here, named Mortuary, he cannot stand Gemma. He loves everyone else. He's just like, come and pet me. But not you, Gemma, because you're evil, and I don't like you. Anyways, Mortuary, he's he's an asshole. He really is. But I will tell you something. This series, I am having so much fun with it. It is such a great series. And I will be getting these as physical editions because I just love the series so much. Alright, that is my video for today. I will show you, I'll let you know, let's see, I'm just going to take this back. This is The Cat of the Baskervilles. A Scandal in Scarlet. There's a Murder afoot, and for free from Bethany Thazeth, I can't pronounce it, The Stolen Kingdom Book 1. So, really excited about reading that one. That's another fantasy book that I now have on there. I am currently on chapter 11 of We Sold Our Souls by Grady Hendrix. That is a library book. That is the only e-book from the library that I got, and I'm very happy. But yeah, one of the great things about getting the books where I don't have to worry about a due date is that the copies I had go back to the library, and I am officially down to 1 book, and so I'm very happy about that. Alrighty, so anyways, I will see you guys around, and until next time, keep reading those books. Bye.